Hello everyone, it's Suanne Okerwall doing another Course in Miracles video. This one is going to be about phase 2 in A Course in Miracles. And I've done a few videos that are part of a set of about these phases as compared to the stages that are talked about in Manual for Teachers in the development of trust section. So this is different than that. This is more like kind of on the human level, what we seem to go through in the course, and we can usually find almost everybody in one of these phases. Now, of course, phases do not really have an exact line when one begins and one ends. So you could find people in both. You could find yourself in a couple of them, straddling them sort of at the same time. So I already went through what the three are. Number one is you get A Course in Miracles. You read it, but you don't understand what it's saying. Phase 2 is you get a tool of some sort that helps you to understand, to sort out what the Course is saying. You learn about its metaphysical principles, and then you align your beliefs with them. Because I guess if you didn't align your beliefs with it, you would move on. You would say, okay, now I understand what it is, but this path is not for me. So you just move on. But generally speaking, if you've gotten that far, then you align your beliefs with them. And the third would be where you actually started doing kind of like the doing of the Course, which is the forgiveness process as outlined on page 401 of the workbook called What is Forgiveness? Of course, right? And so let me tell you, but I already told you about in the last 10-minute video about my phase 1 where I got the book, and for 15 years, I really didn't know what it was saying, but I could not put it down. And as I said, many people are very attracted to this, even though it's written in blank verse, iambic pentameter, it's called. It has a lot of double negatives. It's more like a poem or a symphony, and it does not come straight out telling what it means. And some people should probably jump to the clarification of terms, because it will go through a number of terms as to what this particular book is meaning by those. Although it uses this Judeo-Christian terminology, Holy Spirit, Jesus, God are three of the big, Judeo-Christian words and labels, but it does not use them in the same manner as those other paths had used them. It's slightly different. Okay, so once you have figured that part out, okay, then you've got phase 2. Now, for me, this started in 2004, and I happened to get this book, which I think these are all backwards when I'm showing these, but whatever, you know what I mean. Just read backwards. The Disappearance of the Universe. But this is his original publisher, a guy named Gary Renard, and this is the later version that most people have now. But anyway, in 2004, the funny little story was that I was doing the kind of work that I actually still do as a character human body. I still have the same career. And at that time, I had someone over to my house that I was training. And this person, unbeknownst to me, was going to Unity Church, and Unity has been quite favorable towards the Course over the years. There's a little period when they were less favorable, but basically a lot of people would have what I would always call living room meetings, living room lectures, living room get-togethers, but at the Unity Church, and people would discuss the Course there, because like I said, they were favorable to opening their doors to people that weren't exactly in Unity. Some of these people were also Unity. So this lady was kind of both, right? And so I believe this book had just come out, maybe in 2003, 2004. And and that weird serendipitous kind of voice that sometimes you hear in your mind, I was kind of told or knew that I needed to move my books, and I showed you some of them last time, including back in the day, the pamphlets used to be pamphlets, right? And here's, sorry, I should add this, it's like show and tell, right? But the original books, this is just one of the three. I got the other ones kind of tucked back farther in, they're hard to get, but this is the workbook in the olden days. It did not have the paragraphs labeled off with numbers and the headings. So actually, even all the page numbers, if you were to refer to something now, it does not match this old book. And these three books were actually missing, I think, maybe 5 pages that they didn't mean to not put in from the original transcript. But anyway, so they did fix that in the later book, which I don't have right here. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about phase 2. So I get this disappearance of the universe. And what was great about it is that it is a linear version, a linear explanation of what the Course is talking about. In of itself, it is a fascinating novel, even if you don't believe some of the things that are in it. There are a lot of plot twists and some very interesting things that happen within the book to the character named Gary Renard. And the other very amazing part is that it has, I would say, almost like new and yet very deep, the deepest of deep type of spiritual matter, the most radical on the planet, I would almost say, and then a bunch of Course bits in it. If you haven't gotten it, you know, it's got, first of all, it's got these squares that you could do 365 of them, one a day, and then there is all these where it's actually quoting the Course. See in the bold. Anyway, so that allowed me, but it was a 12-year period of reading that several times. And as I said yesterday, the joke is when you look back and you're like, oh my God, it's black underlined. I wrote words in black pen. I wrote words in red pen. It's underlined in red and it's highlighted in pink. So I'm supposing I went through this version at least, at least 3 times. And then he went back and does anyone look back at what they underlined? I know I don't. So, but at the time it seemed important to do. So anyway, that book, allowed me, like I said, to look back at the Course. So then once I was able to do that, I was able to get through all 365 of the workbook lessons, which they highly recommend that you do. It doesn't mean that you're not like a Course person if you haven't done them all, but it is kind of a goal. It's suggested you're not supposed to do any more than 1 a day, and I think I did it probably, I don't know, in a 15-month period instead of a 12-month period, maybe with skip days, and sometimes maybe with doing one workbook lesson more than 1 day, but they just don't suggest you do, like, say 2 or 3 in 1 day. So anyway, that all coming through, at that time. Okay, the other important thing to say is that we will probably find most of the people that we meet in this phase. It's an information gathering phase. It's a time of settling these ideas, asking questions, trying to understand, and it is always really just the character. I say just. There's nothing just about the character. So it's really this egoic character that we have assumed that is reading the book and doing the learning and doing the understanding. Because the right mind does not learn, and it does not have beliefs. It does not align things. It just is. So this is the character, we could see just from those pieces of evidence that is our personality that thinks it is living in a body, in a place, with family, with friends, in a life situation. And it is reading that, and then it becomes very excited. During those times, there's a lot of aha moments, a lot of like, oh my gosh, how could I have not known these things type of things. You can have periods where you feel a lot of elation, for a couple weeks even. I finally found my way, and then you may want to tell all your friends, all your family, co-workers. You want to get on the internet. You want to start a Facebook page. You want to be a teacher. Ken Wapnick always says, don't be a Course in Miracles teacher, right? So he says, and we will find people in this point where literally in a way they have not done what the Course has said, but they have gained a lot of knowledge about it. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever, because you can't skip steps. You have to go through phase 2. You have to gather this information. You have to settle it in your mind. Like, how else could you go to the mind empty-handed, without the Course, without the book, with no thoughts, and wait for the right mind answer, if you did not even know that that was a thing to do? Right? So you have to go through that. And for me, it was a 12-year period. But at the end of that, I didn't say, oh, it's 12 years now, I'm going to do something different. No, I was just at a point of, like it says, and upon seeing this, some men have died, which is like the one allusion to suicide that the Course has. So it doesn't mean that I was going to end my life. It just meant that I had run out of all options of solving problems in any other way. And here I had my path, and even that did not do it. Intellectually, just knowing and understanding these things as a human did not fix the problem of separation, this underlying, completely awful feeling that was underneath everything of being a human. So, with that in mind, I just literally did put everything down and went into the mind. I sometimes would tell people that I was just pulling my hair out, literally. Anyway, this went into 11-minute video, so I'm going to stop here, but the next video I'm going to do is about phase 3 and the forgiveness process and putting down the book, the tapes, the YouTubes, the teachers, and going into the mind for a universal experience. Okay, thanks, guys.